Every day, over 100 million people access pornography websites. To put it into perspective, this is almost the same number of people who live in countries like Mexico or Japan. In just 1 second, more than 28,000 users are watching some kind of adult content online. These numbers are not only impressive, but reveal a silent epidemic that is shaping minds, behaviors, and relationships in a way never before seen in the history of humanity. The porn industry generates more than $100 billion per year, surpassing the revenues of entertainment giants like Hollywood and major sports leagues. Despite being a topic surrounded by taboos, its impacts go far beyond a simple private pastime. Recent studies reveal that the rampant consumption of pornography is linked to an alarming increase in cases of erectile dysfunction in young men, something that was almost non-existent just a few decades ago. Worse still, nearly 40% of men between the ages of 18 and 30 report difficulties maintaining satisfactory sexual relationships with their partners due to the desensitization caused by pornography. Constant exposure to intense stimuli reconfigures the brain in such a deep way that it affects not only sexual desire, but also the ability to connect emotionally with other human beings. But the damage doesn't stop there. According to a study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, regular pornography consumption is directly associated with increased symptoms of anxiety, depression, and social isolation. Men who considered themselves confident and self-assured report a decline in self-esteem, while others admit to losing interest in goals, hobbies, and even life in general. This raises a crucial question. Why has something so accessible and normalized in modern society caused such profound and negative effects? This is what we will explore in this video, starting with an analysis from neuroscience. What happens in the brain of someone who regularly consumes pornography? The impact of pornography on the human brain is vast and profound. To understand its effects, we must start with the brain's reward system, a mechanism that drives us to seek pleasure and avoid pain, crucial for the survival of the species. This system is primarily regulated by the neurotransmitter dopamine, responsible for generating pleasurable sensations and reinforcing behaviors that the brain considers beneficial, like eating, exercising, or socializing. However, pornography exploits this system in an artificial and exaggerated way. A study published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience shows that consuming pornography triggers a release of dopamine far greater than natural activities, creating a hyperstimulating reward cycle. Over time, this hyperstimulation leads to what scientists call desensitization, where the brain becomes less responsive to normal stimuli. This explains why many pornography users feel the need to seek increasingly extreme or varied content to achieve the same level of excitement. The irony here is evident. By trying to maximize pleasure, the user ends up reducing their ability to feel it. This aligns with the concept of hedonism, as described by the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. The more pleasure we seek, the less we achieve. In this sense, pornography is a hedonistic trap. It promises unlimited pleasure, but delivers emotional and psychological emptiness in the long term. Pornography also activates the same areas of the brain associated with chemical addictions like alcohol or drugs. An article from the University of Cambridge revealed that compulsive pornography consumption alters the brain structure in a similar way to cocaine addicts. The nucleus accumbens, A central region of the reward system undergoes structural changes that increase tolerance and intensify dependency. Additionally, pornography interferes with the production of oxytocin and vasopressin, hormones responsible for creating emotional bonds and feelings of connection. In a study conducted by the University of Montreal, men who consumed pornography regularly had significantly lower levels of these hormones, which may explain the difficulty in forming genuine, intimate relationships. But not all is lost. Neuroscience also reveals the brain's incredible capacity to reconfigure itself, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. Studies show that people who quit pornography consumption experience a gradual reversal of the damage. Dopamine sensitivity can be restored, and the ability to feel genuine pleasure can return over time. As philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said, "That which does not kill me makes me stronger." The fight against pornography addiction, though difficult, can result in a more resilient brain and a fuller life. From a philosophical perspective, pornography is a reflection of our relationship with insatiable, illusory, and often self-destructive desire. In daily life, it manifests as an escape valve for frustrations, anxieties, or boredom, but also as a symptom of something deeper, the human difficulty in dealing with impermanence and loneliness. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre claimed that desire is lack of being, a void we try to fill with external experiences, but one that is never fully satisfied. Pornography, in this sense, is a modern attempt to fill that void, offering fleeting pleasure that masks a deeper suffering. Imagine a young professional who spends most of the day alone in an office or in a demanding routine. He finds in pornography not only a momentary relief, but an escape from his reality. However, this escape comes at a high cost: the inability to find satisfaction in real interactions and emotional disconnection from the world around him. Studies show that frequent pornography consumption is linked to a reduced ability to feel empathy. This can be explained by the emotional adaptation that occurs when the brain becomes accustomed to an overload of artificial stimuli. It shows up in common situations, such as difficulty maintaining meaningful conversations or connecting emotionally with a partner. Buddhist philosophy offers an interesting counterpoint. According to Buddha, human suffering arises from attachment and incessant desire. When we seek pleasure in pornography, we are reinforcing this chain of attachment, perpetuating a cycle of dissatisfaction. In the Dhammapada, Buddha says, "Like the bee that collects nectar without harming the flower, the wise live in the world." In other words, true satisfaction comes from a conscious and moderate life, without succumbing to excesses. Arthur Schopenhauer described desire as a force that enslaves us. For him, the pleasure of satisfying a desire is only temporary and always followed by a new craving, creating an endless cycle of suffering. Pornography exemplifies this perfectly. The momentary pleasure is quickly replaced by a sense of emptiness, leading to repeated consumption. Philosophies like that of Epicurus offer a practical solution to this dilemma. Epicurus believed that true pleasure does not lie in excess, but in simplicity. He argued that happiness is found by appreciating what we already have instead of constantly seeking what we don't have. This principle can be applied in everyday life, replacing pornography consumption with activities that promote genuine pleasure, such as authentic relationships, creative hobbies, or moments of reflection. Modern science also offers practical solutions to regain balance and reconnect with healthy forms of pleasure. Studies published in the Journal of Positive Psychology show that activities like meditation, physical exercise, and positive social connections increase dopamine production in a healthy way, promoting lasting well-being rather than fleeting pleasures. Modern science not only identifies the problem, but also offers practical and effective solutions to regain balance and reconnect with healthy forms of pleasure. One of the key concepts in this process is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to remodel itself based on repeated experiences. Research suggests that interrupting pornography consumption for a period of time can help reverse its negative effects on the brain. This process, known as rebooting, allows dopamine levels to return to normal, and the brain regains its sensitivity to pleasure. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Addictions showed that people who avoided pornography for 90 days reported significant improvements in motivation, mood, and ability to form emotional connections. The practice of mindfulness has proven effective in reducing compulsive behaviors. Studies published in the Clinical Psychological Review indicate that meditation helps diminish impulses related to pornography, increasing awareness of emotions and redirecting attention to the present moment. By doing this, it is possible to weaken the brain circuits associated with pornography consumption. Physical exercise also plays a crucial role. Activities like running, lifting weights, or practicing yoga foster the natural release of endorphins and dopamine, helping restore the brain's chemical balance. Moreover, exercise improves overall mental health, reducing the symptoms of anxiety and depression that often lead to pornography consumption. Another effective strategy is cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, a widely validated technique for treating behavioral addictions. CBT helps people identify dysfunctional thought patterns that lead to pornography consumption and replace them with healthier strategies. A study by the American Psychological Association revealed that CBT was effective in 78% of cases of pornography addiction. From a neuroscience perspective, the importance of strengthening brain circuits associated with genuine pleasures such as creativity, self-improvement, and deep social connections is also emphasized. For example, learning a new skill or dedicating time to a hobby activates areas of the brain linked to the reward system, creating new sources of pleasure and satisfaction. Recent research is exploring innovative methods to treat pornography addiction. One of them is transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, a non-invasive technique that modulates brain activity in areas related to impulse control. Preliminary studies indicate that this technique may help reduce compulsive desires. Other strategies include the use of virtual reality to help people reconfigure their emotional and behavioral responses. For instance, some simulations have shown promise in fostering empathy and interpersonal connection, which could reduce addictive behaviors. Finally, philosophers like Nietzsche remind us that suffering can be transformed into strength. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how, he said. By reinterpreting the challenges of overcoming pornography addiction as an opportunity for growth, individuals can not only regain control, but also discover a more authentic and meaningful version of themselves. Neuroscience offers a deep understanding of the mechanisms behind pornography addiction and points to clear paths for overcoming it. By combining proven strategies with a renewed sense of purpose and connection, it is possible not only to break the vicious cycle, but also to build a fuller and richer life. This recovery process not only impacts the personal lives of those who decide to quit pornography consumption, but also has positive effects on society as a whole. As more people become aware of the harms this habit can cause, a space opens for debate on the normalization of pornography in modern culture and its consequences on perceptions of sex, relationships, and emotional well-being. Studies have shown that excessive pornography consumption not only affects the individual's life, but can also influence the way people perceive consent, intimacy, and respect in real relationships. Research conducted by Stanford University has found a correlation between prolonged exposure to pornography and more tolerant attitudes toward sexual violence, raising concerns about its impact on society. On the other hand, the influence of pornography on self-esteem and body image is another troubling factor. Both men and women may develop unrealistic expectations about sex and physical appearance, which can lead to insecurity, anxiety, and frustration in intimate relationships. The portrayal of unreal bodies and the constant comparison with fictional standards presented in pornography can affect confidence and personal satisfaction. However, awareness and education can make a difference. More and more people are choosing to challenge the pornography industry and its impact on society. Movements like NoFap have gained popularity by promoting abstinence from pornography consumption and compulsive masturbation, encouraging a more balanced and healthy life. Testimonials from people who have quit pornography consumption report significant improvements in their well-being, self-esteem, and interpersonal relationships. Ultimately, the decision to change the habit of pornography consumption is not only an act of self-discipline, but also a step towards greater authenticity and connection with oneself and others. As Viktor Frankl mentioned, when we can no longer change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. The fight against pornography addiction is a complex challenge, but with the right tools, the necessary support, and a new perspective on pleasure and satisfaction, it is possible to build a fuller and more meaningful life. The key is to redirect the search for pleasure towards experiences that nourish the body, mind, and soul, fostering genuine relationships and a higher purpose in life. Overcoming pornography addiction is not an easy path, but it is a process that can lead to a more balanced life with greater satisfaction and more meaningful relationships. For many, the first step is to recognize the problem and understand how this habit has impacted their emotions, brain, and overall well-being. Once the problem is identified, it is essential to replace pornography consumption with activities that generate pleasure in a healthy way. As mentioned earlier, physical exercise, meditation, creative hobbies, and social connections are powerful tools to restore the brain's reward system balance. Another key aspect of this process is patience. Due to neuroplasticity, the brain may take weeks or months to regain its sensitivity to pleasure and restore normal functioning. During this time, it is common to experience emotional highs and lows, sudden impulses, or frustration. However, these symptoms are signs that the brain is in the healing process. For those struggling to quit pornography, seeking professional help can make a significant difference. Therapy, especially cognitive behavioral therapy, has proven to be one of the most effective strategies for changing thought patterns and behaviors related to pornography consumption. Additionally, having a support community, either online or in person, can provide motivation and positive reinforcement to maintain the commitment to recovery. In philosophical terms, the fight against pornography addiction is also a challenge of self-mastery and authenticity. Philosophers like Socrates and Epictetus taught that true freedom is found in controlling our own desires and emotions. Instead of being slaves to momentary impulses, those who overcome pornography addiction find a sense of empowerment and self-discipline that transforms their lives in many ways. On a social level, reducing pornography consumption could have positive effects on the way people perceive relationships, sex, and human connection. By reducing exposure to content that desensitizes the mind and distorts the reality of intimate relationships, people can learn to value genuine human contact, honest communication, and mutual respect.